Hi, this is David speaking. I want to talk about when we feel this nervosity or anxiety or fear in our body and what to do about that. Maybe we have something scary ahead of us, maybe we have a lot of stuff, a lot of work we need to do, maybe we need to go to a party, maybe we need to do a presentation, and there's just this feeling in the body. And obviously the intuitive thing is to try to just push it away and preoccupy ourselves with something else. So maybe we watch Netflix or we play video games or, whatever. The problem is that it just doesn't work. And maybe you notice this as well, where you have this chronic anxiety in your body. It doesn't go away. It doesn't really help to preoccupy yourself because it's still ruminating there, and you just fall back to that feeling all the time whenever there's a break in the movie, whenever your thoughts start drifting, you're back there again. And as it turns out, there's a much better way to deal with these feelings in a way that you can actually control them and not let them control you. Because to me, freedom in life is when you're not controlled by fear or nervosity or anxiety. When no of those thoughts control you, that's when you're really free. Does that make sense? All right, so what I discovered when I got to know people in behavioral science and psychology was that emotions work in a wholly different way than I thought. As it turns out, when you try to avoid an emotion, it comes back to you stronger and stronger, just like a child who pokes for your attention all the time. If a child pokes for your attention and you turn on Netflix, that child's going to be all over you. And it's the same with emotions. Why? Because emotions are there for a reason. And the purpose of emotion is to motivate us. Right? This is important. A lot of people don't know about this, but the purpose of emotions is to motivate us to do something. So throughout the human evolution, we had these emotions come up and they helped us, motivate us to do things that helped us survive. So what about a feeling like loneliness, for example? Well, as it turns out, loneliness is our brain's way to motivate us to do something else. What does it motivate us to do? It wants us to seek up and have a group of people around us, because as it turns out, when we're in a group, we're more likely to survive because we can hunt in a group, we can defend ourselves in a group better. That's the reason, for example, why animals are often in a group. There's just a feeling in them that they don't like being lonely. They rather be in a group, and then they have a higher chance of surviving. Every single emotion has a purpose. And the reason I'm telling you this is because when you feel fear or nervosity or anxiety, there's a purpose for those emotions. And when you try to avoid it, your body gets a bit confused and your brain goes like, well, this person doesn't really pick up on that I'm being nervous, and it continues to poke and poke and poke. So what we want to do instead is to use a very counterintuitive way to deal with emotions. So in a study, for example, scientists divided people into two groups, and they asked half of the people to focus on whatever bothered them, whatever emotion they didn't like in their body. And the other group, they asked to preoccupy themselves with something. And as it turns out, it's the group that focused on the emotions that were able to deal with them better. But now there are different ways to focus on the emotions. We can do it the wrong way, and we can do it the right way. And doing it the right way, we'll be able to take control of our emotions, and we can take control of our fear, and that's when we become free to do whatever we want. If you were to go to a therapist, for example, who helps people to deal with life better and overcome even like severe anxiety and fear, they will give you the same method that I'm going to give you now. The only difference is that they charge $100 an hour, $500 an hour. I want to give it to you for free. It has a weird name. It's called SOAL. Stop, observe, accept, let go, and act. Probably sounds a bit weird. I'm going to explain it to you. So what we first want to do is to stop. Stop whatever we're doing. If you're watching a movie, pause the movie and just stop. And then we're going to observe. We're going to observe whatever feelings we have in our body. So I, for example, whenever I feel nervous, I often get a pressure on my chest. That's more like the stress nervosity. Or I get a pressure in my solar plexus, or I get like a tingling feeling in my belly. All comes up depending on what kind of nervosity I'm feeling. We just want to pay attention to that. We don't want to start thinking about the scary thing in the future. only about the very emotion. Because here's the thing, when we notice that even though it feels like the world is about to fall down, what it really is just a feeling, like a small pressure in our body, which is weird, right? It's not this huge universe is gonna break into pieces thing, but it's just a pressure in our chest, for example. So maybe you have the sensation somewhere else. You want to observe the sensation without judging it. Now, what I'm telling you, this is something that has been developed by Western scientists in empirical studies, where they actually see that people who go through this method that I'm going to walk you through, they actually see that those people get measurably more calmer and they gain control over their feelings. But the method, or the principles behind the method, is something that's been used in the East for thousands of years. And there's this Buddhist wisdom word that says that you want to observe the emotion just like you observe a young child. You're never intimidated by a child, right? If a kid runs around playing, you aren't afraid, you just observe it. Without judging it, you just observe it. That's what we want to do with our feelings. And next on, we accept whatever we feel. So we don't try to push it away. We just accept that, all right, interesting, I have this feeling in my chest right now. There's no difference between that and being, oh, interesting, I feel hungry now because I haven't eaten in a while. And as a next step, we want to let go. We want to let go of the feeling and not ruminate and not stay and think about it, but just let it go. And then as a final step, we act. We do whatever we want to do anyway. So if I, for example, were to go to a party and I'd be like, ugh, I suddenly have this feeling in my body, I would go, all right, I stop, I observe, oh, so I feel a pressure here. And then I accept that I do it, I let go of it, and then I can decide to act anyway. The magic thing here, so the thing is, you have to try this to see really how effective it is. But I can tell you that because all our emotions have a purpose, they are about life and death, or they rather were about life and death throughout our evolution. When an emotion doesn't get acknowledged by us, it continues probing us again and again and again, because it's super important. I mean, it is life and death. That's how emotions were evolved. But when we pay attention to an emotion, on a neurological level, this is what happens. The emotion moves from the small brain, the old reptile brain, into our neocortex, into the modern brain, where we can think logically about things. And when you move to the neocortex, that's when you're in charge. That's when you can decide how you want to act based on the information you have. And something else happens. When you move something into the neocortex, there's no longer point for it to be in the reptile brain. So slowly, the feeling evaporates, almost like magic. I'm going to tell you, you're going to think I'm the weirdest person now. I'm going to tell you a story just for you to see how powerful this is. So I get this bill in the mail a while back. And at that time, I wanted to try the SOAL, like really put the SOAL method to the test. So I used it for everything. So I got a bit annoyed when I saw the bill. It was like a $40 bill or something like that for my phone. So when I saw it, I had this habit of always doing SOAL whenever there was something I didn't like. So I did the SOAL, I stopped, I observed my feeling that I felt annoyed by the bill, I didn't want to pay it, it's never fun paying a bill. I accepted it, I let go of it, of the feeling. And, and the stress that usually makes us pay our bills, because it's an emotion connected to it, right? There's an emotion making us feel afraid that if we don't pay it, something bad is going to happen. I didn't feel that emotion. And I waited for so long that I finally get a delayed fee. So I have to pay $50 extra, something weird like that. Now, you're probably much smarter than I am. You're not going to do this. But I'm telling you this story to explain how incredibly powerful it is when we accept a feeling and our body goes, all right, David's in control over this. He understands this. I'm not going to nag him anymore. So the next time you have a nervous feeling in your body, don't try to run from it. Instead, take the bull by its horn. Take the bull by its horns. And when you do that, when you accept the feeling, it slowly evaporates. All right, try this out. If you have some kind of feeling like negative emotion in your body right now, you can pause the video. You can go through the steps. Stop, observe, accept, let go, and if you want to act anyway. Try going through that. Go through it. It takes like a minute to go through it, and then after a few minutes, you will notice how the feeling is suddenly much weaker. And then you are free to act. You're free to do what you really want to do. Alright, if you like this video, I have an in-depth training where I talk much more about these kinds of things. You find on the link below. You should also hit like and subscribe, and I see you in the next video.